Alicia is a veteran, an entrepreneur, and works in a male-dominated world of business finance. In her line of work, networking is critical, and she's always on the go. Alicia's found that doing her job and networking in a room full of men also has its relationship challenges.
Trying to get that point across has taken more than one conversation sometimes.
Let's learn more about Alicia's experience in this episode of The Catch. So, Alicia, tell me about, you've got this career. Tell me about this career. What do you do? What do you do in the world?
So, I've been in banking for 31 years.
Wow.
Right out of high school, ran a bank in the military. And so I've been in banking and commercial lending for a long time. So just helping small businesses buy a business, start a business, grow a business. That's what I do. And I like to say that women, minorities, and veterans are who I'll focus on, because I am all three.
Yeah.
And that's what, that's where my passion is.
You're a woman, a minority, and a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot in one package.
And a business owner.
And smart and gorgeous.
Thank you.
I mean.
Thank you.
Now, I'm curious, the banking industry, it appears like the banking industry on your level, it would be very male dominated.
Yes.
Yes?
You are absolutely correct.
So when I say male dominated, are we talking about 90%, 10%, or what's that look like?
I would say about, in my role, more like 90%.
90%.
So currently where I'm working now is the first time I've ever worked with another female lender.
This is the first time, and you've
first
been in
time.
this industry for 30 years.
Yes.
Wow.
So, but I've always worked at small banks, and so it's usually been a few of us. But this time, I get to work with a female lender. But yes, I'm in a male-dominated industry.
Has the addition of another female colleague, has that changed things? Is it dramatically different?
Oh my gosh! So I think it makes it better, because then you have someone else there who understands what it's like to work with, predominantly men. I mean, I would say 95% of my clients are men.
Wow, that's a lot.
I'm trying to change that. And I would say that when I'm networking, when I am out and about, I am mostly in the presence of men in what I do.
Does that, being surrounded by 95% of men for 30 years,
yes,
has that given you some insight into what men are like and how to date them, or has it not?
I will say that I've gained a lot of really good friends that are men, because that's who I'm around.
Yeah.
But those friendships are more business focused, and I've learned a lot business-wise, and actually from those relationships, I became a business owner. But dating, oh man, I still think that I have a lot to learn. Those relationships have, like I said, most of the time we're just talking about business things, not so much personal. But I will say that being around a lot of men, for me, has caused some challenges when I've dated. So.
Yes, I can understand. I'm going to assume that since you're in a male-dominated industry, you start dating a guy, he sees you having to be in an industry where you're surrounded by 95% men. Mm-hmm. Is it jealousy? What are some of the issues that come up?
A lot of insecurity.
Insecurity.
Absolutely. So, I have to meet a client for breakfast or lunch or dinners, and so there's some insecurity there. And then because I work with primarily small businesses, as you and I know, when you're a business owner, business doesn't stop at 5. And sometimes you need something from your banker. And I'm that banker that you can call me. You can call me if it's something that you need and it's urgent, because I'm a small business owner. I get calls too from contractors at 9 at night, or tenants, or clients. And so some of those calls have needed a lot of explanation.
Yeah.
So
Now that's interesting. I want to explore this insecurity a little bit more because, I mean, let's say you're in that monogamous relationship with that person. They know what you do. You've explained what the calls mean.
yes,
But it doesn't get any easier for them.
it doesn't get any. It doesn't seem to get any easier. Now I will say this. That has been an issue and a challenge when I have dated someone who was not a business owner. And when I've been in relationships with men who are, they seem to understand that a little better, but still I get an eyebrow when somebody calls me and they need something and it's after hours. Or I have to schedule a dinner somewhere with a client and it's kind of the air quotes client. But no, it's just one of those things where when it's not someone who's business minded or an entrepreneur, then it's a little more explaining than if they are.
I'm wondering what would help these guys? I mean, you're saying there's insecurity. What's the insecurity and what would help them? Because I hear a lot about insecurities. I hear a lot about that, like some of the strongest guys suffer from these really, these insecurities that, hurt their relationship. So what would help these guys?
So I will say that over the years, I have really good guy friends like you that I've known forever. And I have tried to do things like make introductions. And so some of my guy friends are successful. They are attractive also. And so then it becomes, oh yeah, that's your guy friend. You know what? It made me think about when a man has that secretary and the wife comes in, she's like, that's your secretary.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that may be what they're thinking. But I tell you, I have some really good guy friends that are just that. I have some clients that are just that, and because we've been in business so long together that, you just naturally form those type of friendships where you feel comfortable talking and just spending business time together. So I don't know I try to include them in my life when I can, when it's appropriate. They don't come on business dinners, but if I have a male friend, and we're doing something together, like when we've had dinner parties, to invite them just so that they can meet that guy and feel more comfortable.
Well, in a sense, what would be the advice that you would give to guys, to men because women are, again, like, the idea is that women are moving into corporate spaces that they've never been before. Women are moving into construction.
Yes.
And so that's another male domination.
Yes.
STEM, the schools and businesses are trying to get more women into STEM. So that means that women are moving into these STEM industries where they're male dominated.
That's right.
What kind of advice would you give to guys to be like, look, this is what's happening and here's what you need to understand and do?
What needs to be understood is that you have to have enough confidence in yourself and that you have to be able to trust your partner. And so if you don't have that, then, not only are you going to have issues there, you're going to have issues in other places also. If someone doesn't call when they said or something comes up and you don't have that trust, then you're going to have issues. And so I would say that you need to get to a point with your partner that you trust them. You trust that they are honest with you. You trust that they are engaged in business as they say. And if you can't, then that's another issue you need to have a conversation about.
That does seem really challenging today. With texting, with Madison, what is that? Something Amy Madison, that website for married people that want to have relationships, with online dating profiles that people don't know about, that you're in a relationship, but he's at an online. So it's hard to trust at the same time too. But But you mentioned confidence, getting a level of confidence, and you've got a son. You've got how old's your son now?
Chris is 27.
27. Wow. I suspect that you probably instilled a level of confidence in him at this point. So, but I don't think everyone's had that experience. Like, and so when you're dealing with the guys with the insecurities, and you're like, I wish they'd had this level of confidence. What is it that you're wishing for? What is you wishing like that you could instill in them that they had that
That I am expressing to you through my conversation, through my behavior, through my availability, that I'm with you. I'm with you. And all of these options or choices that I've heard I could have, well, you're right, but I'm with you. So that ought to be, have some weight in the confidence, in their confidence. I'm with you. Yeah. I've had friends like you. We've been friends for 10 plus years, and a lot of my friendships are those long-term friendships. And so, if there was going to be something, there would have been something, and there hasn't been. And so, I tried to explain that. And like I said, make those introductions. So I have no hidden friends. And so I think that there just has to be that level of confidence already there in him, that women do business with men, that women and men can be friends without any other side action happening. So, that's my suggestion. I wish more men would be there, but
So now you were talking about how like men, that he has to look at you and say, okay, she has multiple choices, but you're choosing to be with him.
yes.
So he should be confident in that, even though there's all of these men who are attractive, educated, well-established business owners, and he's still got to go. But she's with me.
That's right.
Yeah, easy
That's
enough.
right.
That sounds easy enough done. But there's something that trips men up when it comes to that stuff.
Well, I think it's the same. It's the same insecurities that women can have, because a woman can be with a man who is all of those things, and then we can still look at ourselves and say, "Why me? Why am I his choice?" And then we can start to process that, and then jealousy comes, and then the assumptions and insecurity and all of those things that make a person crazy. But I think you have to go back to, do you trust your partner? And do you have enough confidence in yourself to say, this is the catch. I'm a pretty good catch.
There you go.
I'm a pretty good catch.
So he's got to say, okay, you've got those choices, but at the same time, men, successful, they're in a great position in their career.
Yes.
They meet with you, and they're like, "You're amazing," but I got all these choices to do with themselves. What's going on with that?
Well, you know what, and it comes down, for me, it comes down to. It has to be more than good looks. It has to be more than money. There has to be a connection and a chemistry. And if I have that with someone, then my energy is focused there. And so I think that, maybe it's the same way with men and women. Because sometimes women think that every beautiful woman that walks by, you just want them. As a man, you just want her. And it may be that, your eye catches her because, you're a fan of beauty, but that doesn't mean you want her. And so if I'm dating someone, I'm with that person. I'm, investing my time, my energy in that person, and I can meet with and see attractive, successful men, but my intention is different. My intention is business there. And so trying to get that point across has taken more than one conversation sometimes. So,
Wow. And I mean, that's like the conversation is like, baby, it's you and me.
it's you and me. I'm with you. I want you. I mean, what else can I tell you?
And I would suspect that as a smart woman talking to a smart man that she's dating, that discussion can't happen very many times.
Correct. Correct. I mean, because at some point, the insecurity, the jealousy, the all those things become control. And then for me, I'm with you because I want to be with you and not because I have to, then that comes out. And so this control issue, I think that falls on both sides for men and women. We want to control the situation, but in my line of work, I need that flexibility to do business. I need the flexibility to not only work my corporate job, but also to run my business. And so to say that at 5 o'clock I need to be somewhere and I need to be available or in contact every 2 hours, that's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Trust and confidence have to be a factor.
So it's almost like, it's almost like it sounds like that insecurity turns into trying to control the situation.
Yes.
And you're like, but you can't. You've lived a life of not being controlled, and now someone's trying to control you. You're like, okay, that's just not going to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And so I have personally, because when I'm not dating, I'm still, I want to say, keeping myself in check. So I'm making sure that I'm doing what I need to do at work. I'm making sure that I need to do what I'm doing in business. And so I guess I've learned to control myself. And I've made, the time and put in the schedules and the effort to make sure that everything is in order. So I don't need that. Yeah. I don't need that. And so the relationship becomes something that I want, that I'm going to make time and put in the effort to include in my life. It's just one of those, I'm telling you, I have to keep going back to confidence and trust. Yeah. Confidence and trust.
It's almost like, there's you're a great catch because you're a female entrepreneur, businesswoman, educated, veteran, beautiful, and so you're a great catch. But the big catch is that you also have to deal with the fact that you're independent, that you have a schedule and you have got to deal with clients. And the catch is for a guy that, all right, I have to allow her to do that and not get all caught up in my feelings and stuff like that, my insecurities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the thing is that, like, I mean, I feel like one of the things is that gets in the way is people's inability to almost like stop and like reflect on themselves. Like, why am I acting like this? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I responding like this? They're always looking over there. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing your job, living your life, versus going, why what's my problem here?
Why do I feel like that? Why does that thought even come into my mind? Is that how I would respond in that situation? And I think you make a good point. I think that sometimes we look at a situation and we say, or we remember how we behaved, and so we try to project that on other people. Well, if I were around a lot of women, maybe I would, behave this way. Or if I had that opportunity and that choice, then maybe it would be hard for me to commit. So why is she able to? And so I think that's a good point because, and I just thought about that talking to you. That's a good point to see that in another person too, and to say, why do you feel that way? What in your and your thought process and your behavior makes you think that it has to be like this. So that's a good
So
point.
you think they might be projecting their guilt or their sins or their if I often say, don't do what I would do. Don't do what I would do when you go out.
That's right. That's right. Don't do what I've done. Don't do what I've seen other people
I'm joking
do.
though.
How can that even be possible? But like I said, I've worked around enough men and been in this industry long enough that for me it really is about business. I mean, these are my business clients. They just happen to be mostly men.
It's almost like doing photo shoots. Like I've done photo shoots and boudoir photography, and it's very intimate. Even just general headshots are a very intimate experience because you're trying to capture that real essence of a person. And I've had girlfriends in the past who they see beautiful images of beautiful women and they just get ate up. I'm like, that's my job. That's work. That's what I have to do. My job is to make them look good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's the insecurity that gets in the way, and there you go. It just turns into a wreck. And I'm a person that doesn't really do well with I have no room in my life for like jealousy or insecurities. I'm like, get it together or you got to go.
And I try to give some time to and be patient in understanding that I know this is probably not the normal situation for a man to be in.
But it's becoming. That's the point, though.
It is becoming that way.
I mean, women are moving up into these roles.
But you're absolutely right that at some point then it becomes, do you not trust me? Do you think that every man that is in front of me, I just have to get on them?
Now that's really interesting because you could look at it almost like from a guy's perspective. Dudes are like looking at women like, they look at every single woman like, yes, 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 no, yes, yes, yes. And so for example, recently, a few years ago, I remember I was out and about and I got someone catcalled on me once. Now that's happened literally in less than 3 fingers in my life.
Okay.
But how many times have you been catcalled in your life?
More than 3.
Hundreds,
More
probably,
than, yeah.
right? Hundreds. And so men and women have a different experience because when that happened to me, I was just shook up. I was like, what? And but women have to deal with that all the time. So men are constantly catcalling. So just like dick pics, for example, they think that's normal. If a dude sends that, they're like, they must think that that's normal. And so they think that at the same time, from the opposite direction, that women are always looking at men, just like men are always looking at women.
Right.
I'm gonna holler at that, I'm gonna holler at that, I'm gonna holler at that.
No, and you're absolutely right. That's a good point. So I'm not looking at every male client as, is this somebody eligible? Is this an option for me to date? I'm looking like, is this an option to get a loan? Can I do business with this person? Is this a new client?
Whereas in men, I don't think they're as objective as that all the time. That's why we have such a sexual harassment culture. Women are in the workplace and they have to deal with sexual harassment. I'm going to assume with an uneducated guess here that sexual harassment is probably 90% directed towards women, 10% directed towards men. What do you think?
I think you're right. So I will say in my career, besides dealing with instances of discrimination, I would say sexual harassment has been very prevalent. From the time I started working as a teenager in McDonald's, to my time in the military, to my time in corporate America, I would say that was almost like it wasn't even something that you'd even raise an eyebrow at. It wasn't something that was even an issue that you take to HR because it was so prevalent.
Are you saying is it almost like that sexual harassment from a woman's perspective is almost just something you have to accept as part of the package of being a woman?
I hate to say that because I don't want women to think that, if it happens to you, then you don't speak up. But I will say that it doesn't surprise me like it did initially. It's happened so many times. And so as I have been in banking longer, and as I have, say, moved up the ladder and obtained higher positions, then my voice has gotten louder in talking back and expressing how I feel about it. Yeah. And so, but I will say that initially it was something that you just expect. Yeah. You just expect. I mean, when you're in a room with, 20 other lenders, they're all men and you're the only female lender, and they make a comment about another woman as if you're not a woman and you're not in there and you don't have those body parts. It's like, really? Yeah. Are you serious?
Well, that kind of goes back to this whole dating experience, because women have this experience of this ongoing, like, just harassment, or like just ongoing, just of comments and ideas and blah, 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 harassment. Whereas in men, how much does it go back that direction? Mm-hmm. So when men are like looking at you, going, okay, you're in this male-dominated industry, so they think that all these dudes are like chasing after you, and you have all these options. Mm-hmm. But men don't have that experience of what it's like to have that type of ongoing harassment.
Mm-hmm. And well, I will also say that you made me think about something. Very rarely does one of my clients say something that's inappropriate to me. I think that when I do business, I let them know just in my behavior, my conversation, that I'm interested in business. I'm not interested in you. I'm not open to anything other than talking about how we can do business.
How do you do that?
And I think they get that.
How do you do that? That's interesting.
I stick to the topic at hand. I think that, I can be fun and socialize and in my communication, but I let them know this is about business. This whole transaction, this whole conversation, this is business. So I think in the past, and I will say this, in the past, in my earlier lending days, I did have an employer who said to me that you are a woman, you are attractive. Now, this is my superior. Men will do business with you because of those things. Use that. And so I did think that I had to be a little flirty. I had to wear, the short skirts. This is in the 90s when I first started doing this. And maybe flip the hair when my hair was longer. But nowadays, you know what? My experience, my intelligence, my, just what I bring to the table as a veteran banker, that's enough to get me the business.
So a lot of people, one of the new things that people have been experiencing just in the last couple decades has been the advent of the internet and online dating.
Oh, yes.
I only did that for about a month, and I was just like, done, done. And because I'm a person that's in the community, I'm out and about. I talk to people all the time. I talk to strangers everywhere, and so there's plenty of opportunities to meet people. But you've had some online dating experience.
I have. Oh, so first of all, let me just say this. that because a person is on online dating does not mean they're desperate. So I did not get on online dating because I was desperate.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been in banking for a long time. I have, circles that I've run with for many, many years. So I'm very familiar with who's in those circles. And so not going out a lot in Kansas City, I wasn't meeting different people. So I tried online dating. And for anybody that's thinking about trying it, let me just say, it is not for the faint of heart. Because
Well, a friend of mine, when they told me, they said, Nicholas, you got to take a tour of duty. I was like, is that how you're selling it, a tour of duty? That sounds horrible. It sounds like I'm going to war.
Yes. Okay. So here was my experience. So the first week, the first days that I was on online dating, I really was depressed because I said, am I attracting this type of guy? I mean, it wasn't, you put in your profile and you put in the type of guy you want, but it was everything other than that. It was older than what I had.
You were getting everything.
I was getting everything other than that. And so eventually one of my girlfriends said, well, what happens is when you first get on, you're like new fish. And so everybody's going to come out the woodwork to try to, and so you have to weed through those first few days of that. Yes. And so, but I will say I met a lot of people. It was very entertaining. To go on dates.
Air quotes, entertaining.
Yes, it was air quotes, definitely air quotes. And I will say that all of those dates, other than one, were horrible. It was just horrible.
That's not even air quotes. That's just horrible.
Just horrible. And so,
what was that? Give me some.
What was horrible? Okay, so what was horrible was I met a guy at the bar, and when he came in, I did not recognize him. And he walks up to me and he says, "Oh my gosh, you look just like your picture." And I looked at him and I said, "And you do not. Was that picture from high school?" And he said, "No, that was one of the better pictures from college." And I'm, "You're like 50, guy. You're like 50.
Wow.
So that was not a good experience. Then I met a guy who, now listen, I know dating is casual. I would probably wear this sweater and some nice jeans on a date. Guy came in with a tank top on. Not a new one, not a, this is what I wear outside, with a tank top on, some jean shorts, stonewashed. Now this was last year, so stonewashed, and some tennis shoes that I'm sure he thought were appropriate.
That brother was stuck back in the 80s.
Oh my God. And the biggest medallion necklaces I hadn't seen them since the 80s, right. So I was just like, how old was this gentleman?
Oh, well, so my dating range was 45 to 52 because I'm in there too. I'm in the middle of that. And so he was older. Yeah, he was older. So
Younger men, guys in their 40s?
I am so open to younger men.
Okay.
Younger men who are mature. So I had this list of what I wanted, a man to be. I wanted him to be this age. I wanted him to be, 6'2", 220 pounds, like fitness model, no kids at home. And then I started to meet guys, not the ones online, but I started to meet guys outside of the online dating who maybe had some kids, but the kids were well-mannered and they didn't have, drama with ex, or they weren't 6'2", but they were very confident, which made them seem strong and attractive to me. And so I have relaxed some of the things on that list. I mean, I still have some deal breakers, but I have gotten around to saying, you know what, there are people who don't fit that mode that are still amazing. And I have dated some of them. It didn't work out, but it was still, a wonderful time at that time. So,
You mentioned deal breakers.
yes, I have some deal breakers.
Like, so, cut off jeans,
Oh,
frosted
yeah.
jeans,
On the
and,
first
and
date.
medallions? No.
No big medallions.
No medallions.
Listen, and here's another thing. So we were sitting at the bar, and when other customers came in, they had to walk behind us. He had on so much cologne, Nick, that people would stop and look around like, what is that smell? And it was hilarious. Yeah. So
Here we go. Okay, so number one, no medallions.
no medallions.
No cut off jean
No cut-off
shorts.
jeans.
I mean, on a first date,
Come on.
tank tops, and the cologne. Like, how many sprays do you think he gave himself?
I don't know, but my eyes were burning.
Oh,
It was that strong. My eyes
wow.
were burning.
So recommendation: how many sprays would you recommend for a guy?
How about one spray on the skin, not on the clothes?
One spray on the skin, not on the clothes.
Yes.
Not more than 2, 3, 4, you know.
No, because if you are, if there's enough chemistry there for a hug, then I'll smell it when I hug you.
Okay. Yeah. What were some? There's a new group of individuals who are making a career out of helping men improve their online dating profile with photographs and you know how they.
Yes.
What's going on with that? I mean, like, is that what do you see that men are like really needing some help in their online
Yes.
profile development?
Absolutely. Listen, be honest. Be honest about where you are today, because that's the person that she's going to meet, that I'm going to meet. So if you are 50, then put the 50-year-old picture out there, not the 20-something-year-old picture. If you are whatever physical shape you're in, because you don't want to show up and then, as I have done, that was it. I mean, that dishonesty and deception, that was it for me. That was the deal breaker. There was no, okay, you had good conversation, let me move on, because I felt like you had been deceitful from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that use a current picture. Be honest about the things you like to do. So on my dating profile, I had a picture of me rock climbing, because I like to rock climb. I like to indoor rock climb. And so one gentleman said that he liked to rock climb too. Great. Well, first date, let's meet at the rock climbing gym. Well, he was large, and he was physically not able to rock climb.
Aww.
And it was so embarrassing, and he injured himself. So, yeah.
Wow.
So just be honest. I mean, because for me, all of those things are going to come out anyway. They're going to come out one way or another. And his came out with an injury at the gym. So
I could just imagine you like
And
you just going up that wall and looking back down like, oh.
yeah.
But you probably saw that before
Yeah.
you even started.
Oh, you know what? And my whole goal that day was, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I do, which is rock climb. I'm gonna get my rock climbing in while he's down there doing whatever, and then after this is over, this date is done. Just be honest. You know, the other, you know, I put things on my profile, and then I found that people would respond that they have similar interests, or like this guy, or that they, you know, worked out, or that they love to travel and those type of things. And then you meet them, and then you say, hey, where have you traveled to, or where do you, and then it was a lie. It was all a lie. They hadn't gone anywhere. They just want to meet you. And so those are some of the things that I say, your profile should be as honest as it can be to find the person who really, really wants to be with you, or who's interested in being with you. Or that'll be your last date. I mean, I had a lot of one-time dates, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, keep it honest, keep it real.
Keep it real.
And I think you know, maybe a lot of people, maybe do you think men have a hard time keeping it real, or why do you think that there's so much you know, embellishment or just, I don't want to call it deceit, but, you know.
Well, I think because, and I will say that it may be partially on us women because of what we say we want. Again, I had that list for forever, and it was actually 6'2", 225 pounds, no kids at home, at least have a bachelor's degree because I have a master's degree, make this much money. I mean, it was all of those things to the T. And I think when women, as women, we go in expecting men to be in the same position that we are, that we really miss out on some good guys. I think one of the things that I learned from dating the last guy that I dated was sometimes we just don't have the same exposure. We don't have the same experiences. But if you meet someone who has a teachable spirit, and I don't mean to say that a woman has to, teach a man these things, but I mean, the last guy, he wanted to learn. So I've been in banking. I know a little bit about finances and some of those things. And he was willing to make some changes to improve his financial situation. I'm okay with that. I'm so okay with a person who has a teachable spirit, who has some vision and wants to do better. But I think when we come in as women and say, you have to already, be in this place, then we really narrow down our pool of opportunity.
I've always thought that one of the you just kind of reinforced an idea that I had where I always thought that curiosity was one of those things that were highly underrated.
Yes.
Curiosity.
Yes.
When do you ever put that on a profile? I'm looking for someone that's curious because what that does is that opens up a person's mind,
that's
opportunities,
good.
experiences. But you have to be a curious person.
Yes.
And
yes.
that opens your life up in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go back to yourself in your early 20s when you were just starting to date, what kind of advice would you give yourself back then?
Oh, I would tell myself that, and this is where we get all sentimental and serious. I would tell myself that the most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. Learning to love and respect and appreciate who you are enables you to love, respect, and appreciate somebody else. Because if you don't, then you're going to constantly be looking for something in another person that you don't even possess in yourself. And so growing up, I will say that I didn't feel I was the most attractive. I didn't feel that I had really accomplished what I wanted to in business. And so I was looking for someone who made me feel those ways. And often I would get into relationships with someone who wasn't the kindest person. And it's almost like they would sense it. They would sense that I was like a wounded bird. And then the prey knows which one is the wounded bird. And so I would tell myself to just learn to love and appreciate who I am and who I was created to be, because somebody out there will love me that way. God created me this way, that surely He's created someone who will love who I am.
The thing is, how do young women do that?
We have to understand that we're all different. We're all different. We all have something beautiful and valuable about us. And if you were created with that talent, with that look, with that whatever, then there's a purpose for it. And someone, should be you first, will love it and appreciate it, and it will
it will be what attracts that other person.
How does a person, a man and a woman, because really this lends to your point about confidence. Like, how does a person, a man or woman, where do they go to learn how to love themselves? Because that's not something that's like taught in schools.
No, it's not. And so I will tell you this. So I surround myself with other positive women and men who are able to uplift and encourage and talk to me sometimes when I'm not seeing it in myself. And so I will say that that's helpful. I will say that has, and I was just stopping and thinking in the last year, I have a lovely ladies group, is what we call ourselves. And we're all single, we're all in our mid to late 40s, trying to, just still figure out this whole dating and online and who we want to date. And it has been helpful just to surround yourself with other women who are positive and supportive and encouraging. So I would say that that's probably a good place to start.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming on